So I wasn't going to do a follow up here. I wasn't really planned, but I think the analysis post debate is interesting. Sometimes there's punditry and that could be a bit off putting, but what they are talking about, it's intriguing. John Keane, the first thing he said was Democratic strategists, and one thing I should say, pause the TV, so I'll have to periodically pause it on and off. Um, Democratic strategists are actually considering some sort of intervention, going to the White House, perhaps, basically persuading the president to step aside. Chris Wallace has made a good point. He said that Biden could have pitched himself as a successful transitionary president, and he hasn't done so. Um, right now, I'll just show you this. Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing. I don't know how clear that is, but there's a watch party. The First Lady is there, and they're kind of, 4 more years, 4 more years. I think they're, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of denialism going on there. The truth of the matter is, Biden just looked, the optics were bad tonight. In the analysis they were talking about, the one thing Biden had to do was confront this issue of his age. And the thing is, this was particularly bad tonight. I've seen Biden there's been a few times where he's sort of come back and made good speeches and countered those sort of claims. But, even at the G7 in Italy, he kind of wandered off and it's not a joke anymore. And I think they also point out something in this analysis that there's Democrats who loathe Trump, and I think they'll be angry with Biden actually and the Democratic Party for wasting this, for having Biden as the nominee. Um, but to a person, and there's Republican strategists as well. In fact, the funny thing is, the Republican commentator was saying if you love him, would you put your father out there? I think it was Van Jones who said he loves the man, but it was a bad performance. I mean, Biden's voice was a bit croaked. That I don't think that's necessarily a major thing, but there was one point, one of his statements was just all over the place. It didn't actually make any sense. Talk about Medicare. He had a brain freeze. It was painful to watch. Um, so I think the Democrats are in a serious problem right now. Uh, Trump's a liar, and a lot of his lies came up again tonight. He just told barefaced lies. He said Biden was a liar, but Trump. I mean, much of his public life has been based on lies. And actually, Biden did make a few good points. He had a few rebuttals, but Trump might not even agree to another debate. And the thing is that he will say this was Biden's home ground. It was CNN, and there has to be Democratic strategists looking at this and thinking this was a wasted opportunity. This was be looking at this and saying this was Biden's chance to really show that he can do this. Um, Probably what the Trump campaign will do is say that Biden's running Kamala Harris's presidential campaign now, because Biden Part 2 will actually be President Kamala Harris. I guess the implication is Biden's mental competence and so on and such that she will be then have to become president. She's even more unpopular than Biden. Um, so I think the Democrats are in serious trouble, but they've allowed it to get to this point. Apparently, the reason I was wondering about this, the reason that they don't challenge the incumbent is because historically, when that's happened, it hasn't went well for the incumbent when there's been a significant challenge. But I think that's misguided. I think this notion, I mean, when Dean Phillips ran, he got pilloried. That was almost like a traitor to the cause. But if if that keeps playing again, because on my TV there's a mechanism to pause it, but it doesn't always work. Um, yeah, uh, there's a lot of interesting points being made. I mean, Van Jones looked like he was almost in tears from what he was saying. Um, the things that Trump has come out with about um, genuinely sick about, he evaded questions all night. Um, but I think Trump won the debate simply because he was himself. He seemed to have more energy. He was burning through questions, and it has to be said he looked in control. I think he's obnoxious. I think he is a threat to democracy, and I think he's a liar. But frankly, he looked like he was in control. And I don't know what the Democrats are going to do. It's still some time away from the convention. I don't know what they can do. Um, Axelrod says it's not the 60s, the voters choose the nominee, um, and they've chosen Biden. But I wonder, will the voters feel differently after this? I wonder, will Democratic voters think, no, we can't do this? Um, I wonder what the mechanisms are to change the candidate. I mean, legally, at this point, within the rules of the Democratic Party. Um, but I do think if it's a bad loss, if Biden loses a lot of states and Trump gets re-elected, a lot of people will be angry with the Democratic Party. They'll say you put Trump back into the White House by not getting more assertive on what's going on here, by getting a younger candidate, by basically, I mean, I personally think the Bidens, both of them, the First Lady as well, are being kind of selfish because they must know there's a problem here. But the President's pride and the First Lady's loyalty to her husband. Um, I mean, I think the First Lady should step up a bit. You know, he's done what he wanted. He wanted to run for president. He's done it. She should step up and say, "Look, stand aside." It's so she'll be blamed as well. I think. Yeah, but this is going to put Trump back in the White House, and I think that's awful for democracy because I think Trump is a wannabe dictator. Uh, there were several policy points. Trump got the upper hand on the immigration thing, but I think Russia and Ukraine, Biden has the upper hand. I think that Trump's lies just come through so often. Um, anyway, I'll wrap this up. But I don't know. It's intriguing to see what will happen. We have our own general election, of course, so we focused on that. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of other talking points that I can add to this, but I'll leave it there for now. I do see a situation where, you know what, I think if there's not an intervention, I think if Biden's not replaced, there might actually be a rebellion in the Democratic Party. There may be some sort of breakaway. Also, bear in mind, a lot of young Democrat voters are very angry with Biden over the Palestinian issue. So it isn't just the age factor, it's policy itself. But as for strategists, I think there may actually be a split. I think some of them might say, okay, we're going to give an ultimatum here. We've been respectful, we've been patient, but this is going to put Trump back into the White House. And more broadly speaking, I think that Congress needs to do something to ensure um, that there is a cognitive ability to run for president. I mean, at one point in the debate it got bizarre. They were arguing over who was better at golf. These are two men who've been in the most powerful job in the world. It's just bizarre to see. Also, another point, Abby Phillips pointed this out. America's enemies are watching this, Russia and China. I mean, it must be like gold on a plate to them because it makes America look weak. It makes America look like this is the best they've got to offer. Of course, Putin and Xi Jinping don't have to debate because they're dictators. Yeah, but I think this moment might be a point in American democracy. Um, and it's bizarre to see. If the Democrats do get a different candidate, it won't be Kamala Harris. Um, Whoever that person is, he or she will have to be very good because Trump will immediately attack them as unknown. He'll attack the Democratic Party as being desperate for replacing Biden. So they'll have to be prepared for those sort of attacks. And then there's no debate. That might not go down well with the public. I don't know. Um, I'd like to hear from American voters. How do you feel about the optics of this, regardless of what you think about? Well, I suppose that's kind of contrary to what I'm saying, but yeah, you're going to have views on Biden or Trump. But okay, let me rephrase the question. If you're a Democrat voter specifically, what do you think? think this is going to hurt the Democratic Party because I think it will. And I think Trump's awful, so I think that's a very bad thing. Let me know your thoughts.